Hello, this is Katie. I thought it would be a good time to do an overview of where we are in the course for CO230 Telecommunications. Now on my screen, I have created a student account so I can see what you see. I'm a test student, and I just wanted to walk through a couple important things about the semester and how it's going from my perspective. I only teach this course online, so I have 2 sessions online, but I can see through the assignments that you guys are doing a great job understanding the material on telecommunications. I've been trying really hard to pull in some outside material because I know the textbook is a little dated, and in telecommunications and networking that's not always the best. But we've been pulling things in from the outside, which has helped. I have updated the grade sheet, so make sure you go to your grades. It'll be right here. Now, as a test student, I have not submitted anything, so I'm failing. But what you'll see here is your current percentage grade and your current letter grade. This is based on things that you've only turned in so far. So if it says an A, that doesn't, and it probably does if you've been doing well on things, that does not mean that you can quit submitting work, because we still have half of the semester to go, and there'll be things that will be assigned, so keep submitting work. If you want to view any of the quizzes, you can click on the quiz number that you have right here, and it'll pull up the quiz. So make sure you're checking your grades to ensure that you've turned everything in. Now, on a quick note, I just graded this past weekend the quiz 6, or learning module 6 assignment and the quiz 6. Those were really well done. You guys did a great job. I think collectively, most people, there's about 45 students that I have, most of you thought that GPS would not go away, and I think that you're right. I think that maybe the tools like the TomTom and the Garmin might, for our normal day-to-day use, like travel, because we have our iPhones and our, well, I have an iPhone. You have, and you guys probably have something better than an iPhone, but we have our phones that have our Google Maps on there and our GPS on there that helps us navigate through the streets, and they're pretty updated. But GPS, as far as the military is concerned, and when we go outside of the normal day-to-day things, it's still probably a necessity, and most of you picked up on that, so that was really, really good. So that, you know, we know about the satellites. Somebody, and I can post this in the announcements, even shared a link of the last satellite launch this past summer in June. I can't remember the student's name, but thank you for doing that. That was a really awesome video. I'll pull it up and I'll post it with this video here. But you guys did a really great job. And then Bluetooth technology. This was one of the other things I wanted to note from the quiz and the last material that you've been reading. Most of us have had Bluetooth capabilities primarily through our phones and our hands-free in our cars, or some of you brought up Jambox for wireless speakers, and also gaming devices. So when you use gaming devices, you use Bluetooth technology. Bluetooth has been around for a long time. Spelled the word wrong, I just noticed. But Bluetooth has been around. I remember hearing about it when I was working on my master's in computer science. That was probably a long time ago now, 14, 15 years ago, where we first started talking about it. And we talked about things like, oh, we could just tell our refrigerator what we needed, and it would send it to the grocery store, and then we just went and picked it up from the grocery store. But these normal day-to-day uses, like in our car and with our games and microphones, although this is wired because it works better for me. But the Bluetooth technology's really picked up, and we use a lot of those things for our day-to-day uses, which most of you knew what we were talking about with that. In the textbook, even though it's a little dated, it brings up Bluetooth and kind of explains it, so that's good as well. Now, before we talk about the midterm, we are halfway through the semester, and we are going to cover the rest of the book, but I've changed our schedule just a little bit so that you have more time on the midterm exam blogs, and that's because I've been late on posting things, and I sincerely apologize for that. Since I didn't post the midterm until Wednesday, I believe, last week, you will have until October 20th to submit it. So I just fixed the schedule because I noticed it had the date wrong. So last week you should have started the exam blogs, and I posted in the announcement that they are due on October 20th. That's a week from check my calendar. That's a week from today, so next Monday at 11:59. And after that, I just put TBD, to be determined, for October 20th, but we will go on with our Chapter 6 of the textbook, and that talks about data networks. So we'll have to pull some new material from the web and such. So that it will be our plan starting next Monday. This week, I want you to focus on the exam blogs, and I had an email, one email about what am I expecting for the blogs. So you're going to go into Learning Module 7, and I'm in a student view, so I'll see what I see is what you'll see. This is a blog entry, and I've had people turn them in, so I know that there's not a problem with it. But there are 5 blog entries that you have to submit, one for every chapter that we covered. And the first 3 blogs, I give you something very specific to consider, and then the last chapters, chapter 4 and 5, I give them open to you. So for a blog entry, we're talking probably about, what did I say? Probably about a page. Length of your work is about 400 words for each entry. Now, I'm not counting the words. I'm not going to throw it through Word. So that's probably roughly probably a page, not double space, normal text size. If it's applicable, include some pictures within your blog or links to where you're grabbing information. Blogs are supposed to be exciting to read, so you don't want to just grab something from, that you don't, and plus you don't want to violate any copyright laws, or you don't want to just grab things off the internet and paste it, but make it something exciting. So the 5 blogs are down here. The first one, write a blog about the major developments of the internet that are outlined on page 13, but more importantly, what you should focus on is things that aren't mentioned in this book. So for blog for chapter 1, what's happened in the developments of the internet from 1995 to 2014. And this is probably, if you're a young person, this is probably most of your youth, your teenage years, things that you've changed, things that you've seen change since the book has stopped listing things in the mid-1990s. Now, for me, I would probably write about the developments that I saw. For example, in college, when I started in 1994 for my undergrad, I know some of you were just born that year, but when we would go to the lab, we didn't have computers at home. A lot of us didn't. Some of us did, but a big desktop computer. I remember my first computer for college was like $2,000, and it took me forever to pay it off. On top of that, when we bring in what we paid for dial-up and what we paid for access to AOL, ridiculous. Just in chat rooms, just a ridiculous fee compared to what we do now. But I would probably talk about how I first started using the internet in college and watched the Netscape beacon go around. It was crazy. And to now using something that's a lot faster, and all of the developments that have come from that. And even with social media, you could go on about, hold on one second. Okay, sorry if you saw my son in the background. That's the benefit and joys of working from home, which also is a development of the internet. But what, like I was saying, social media is huge. The development from what was that first one? The MySpace, well, for AOL to MySpace to Facebook, those type of things, Twitter, all of the things that have grown with the internet in the past 10 years. It's just been crazy. And then also maybe a thought about what do you see will happen in the next 10 years, trends or developments, and you can pull things from outside, outside resources online. Chapter 2 excuse me, is a blog about society's progress in social, economic, and scientific endeavors related to the improvements in the ability to communicate over the past 10 years. So this chapter 2 is electronics for communications, and it goes on about analog and digital signals, and this is the chapter that had a lot of formulas in it. So what we want to do with the second blog is kind of get away from the technicality of the chapter and talk about how communication has changed or progressed and over the past 10 years. So what do you see as our primary mode of communication between one another? How is this impacted by one's social and economic ability? So for example, internet access, that, like I had mentioned when I started college, we did not, I was in college and I had a lot of student loans, unfortunately, and that helped pay for my internet access, but someone who didn't have that ability didn't have that. And that's true nowadays, where you might not have internet access at home, or you have to go to the public library or to the college. But the social and economic ability affects our ability to communicate in different ways. If I didn't have this headset or a laptop that my work provides, then I wouldn't be able to do an online class, or you wouldn't be able to take an online class if you didn't have the technology. And then how do you see this changing? One of the interesting things for Chapter 2 you might want to make note on, I don't know how old you guys are, if you have children, but what about the way that children in K-12, or especially K-5, now are using technology, and how soon they get them started, and iPads in schools, and what they expect, how they expect children to do homework now on the computer, and then what if they don't have a computer, or what if their parents aren't savvy with a computer? How does that affect their ability to communicate, in the past and going forward? So that'll be an interesting blog. I look forward to reading that. Again, this is your chance to write a blog. You've read a lot of things online. This is your chance to express who you are and what you're learning. And Chapter 3 blog is the development of Cat8 UTP. Chapter 3 is on transmission media, so it talks about coax, UTP, STP, and fiber primarily, but let's focus on Cat8. There are some links you can, in our in our homework assignment, where you could go back to, or you can just Google Cat8 UTP. Remember, IEEE is the organization that specifies what those standards are. How do you see that development or that push of that cable out into networks? And if you're not familiar with that, based on what's in the textbook, do some reading out there. There's some interesting things on how fast Cat8 will go out, and if you'll even need it to your desktop. Consider fiber optic as your primary backbone, and what developments in fiber optic have been made. You could even talk about what interests you, satellite communication. You could even talk about that. I personally think it'll be quite a while before Cat 8 is implemented to our desktop. The speed that it can handle is quite great, where our devices might not match up. So our router couldn't handle the speed, or a router probably could, but maybe our hub, if we're a really old network, or our switch couldn't meet up with the data that could go on a Cat 5. Or I'm sorry, a Cat 8. So do some research on that and write a short blog about that. Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 are open blogs. Chapter 4 is any topic of interest related to voice communication. And that's a wide range of things. So after you've written a few of these, you'll have a good idea. And then Chapter 6 is wireless communication. You could write on anything from the new iPhone 6 to the new Android phones, or why people pick different, actually that would work with Chapter 2 too, or Chapter 4 on voice communications, or wireless communications, when you could pick anything. I probably would write about how the Wi-Fi at the college hasn't been working lately and it's affected my work or your work, or just make sure you get those 400 words in, make it interesting, and after the end of this exercise, the midterm, I'll see how we can post things. So how do you submit them? When you click on the blog link, I'm a test student, here's your question. You're going to click Create Blog Entry. I would maybe write it in Word first, so that first of all, you could count the words if you're really concerned about that. And then also you can just copy it from there and paste it here, and then post entry. If you have any attachments or any images, you could attach them through here. And then hyperlinks, web links, you can just paste in there and they'll automatically be linked up. And then you just go ahead and hit post entry. At this point, I am the only one that can see your blog entry. After these are all submitted, I can make them public. I have started reading some and grading them, and they are very interesting. You guys are doing a really good job. I think we can learn from each other. This is telecommunications, of course, after all. So I will post them once everybody turns them in, and then you can read them in your downtime. So that's it. I hope the semester is going well. The midterm exam blogs, well, maybe you can. You can't. No. Okay. I'm just checking. I've never assigned a blog, but if you click on the midterm exam blogs, individual. Okay, these are the people who submitted. So I have 3 people that submitted so far for Chapter 1. And again, you can go, this is the same link that's in Learning Module 7. So you can click here and enter your blog. But at this point, well, maybe you can. Oh, at this point, you can see other people's blogs. So that's good. You can go over here. I'm going to leave it this way. Just don't copy what they say, though, of course. Some of them I've graded and some haven't, so I think this is one. And new comments. Bud to infinity. Oh, that's a note. We're learning things. Okay, Jeff, I got your comment. But you can go ahead and see the other blogs as well, and that will help you determine. But, of course, don't copy theirs. I can see when you post them. Make your own up. Make your own contribution to it. So, again, I hope that you're enjoying the course. I will get this posted. Check your grades. They're updated as well. And after this week, probably allow yourself a couple good hours, 2 to 3 hours for all of your blog entries. And not each, just total for all 5. And get all that submitted. And then on the 20th, I will post the next learning module. So thank you. Have a great day. And it was nice to see you all. Thanks for listening. I'll talk with you soon.